Well, another day, and another day without the video from Sue in the new way. I talked to Sue yesterday, and I felt certain, and she did too, that I'd have it quickly, but I still don't have it. So that means another day of talking about something else, because I'm going to talk about Jesus when I have that video, because that's what it's about. But for right now, my plans have been changed. And there's an old adage, I don't know how old it is, but it's an adage anyway, that if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I had planned to have the talk about Jesus and show Sue's talk about Jesus that was given this past Sunday at the New Way. And then I was going to follow up with my friend Salvador Russo's message about the time that we're living in astrologically, and in which he actually talks about Jesus. And I wanted to connect and link those, and I figured that was a 3-day period, and it's not begun yet, and it's not going to begin today. Yesterday was a very strange day in the respect that I went to my prayer circle up at the pod at the New Way in the morning, and I got home shortly after 1, and I had received 3 frantic messages on my answering machine from friends of mine from the Republic of Florida that live on the opposite side of the state over in the Tampa area. And they were here in town wanting to see me. And I didn't know who they were. I knew the one man that had left a message, but there were actually 3 of them that had driven across the state to spend time talking with me, both about the situation that I'm in with what they plan to do with my home, that they being the so-called authorities. And then we also ended up talking quite a bit about the Republic. And so that's what I'm actually going to talk about this morning, the Republic movement in the USA. And I wrote here a while ago, after coming back from the meditation room, lots of people around the world realize there is something major that is wrong with the way things are. People everywhere see the corruption in high places, the injustice, and the downright insanity. Many have moved to restore, reestablish, and reseat the original republic for the United States. It reveals, as I see it, a glaring weakness. Indeed. Oh, let me just say that they were here for around 4 hours. Let's just say around 4 hours yesterday. And we had a lot of discussion. But I had a meeting last night, as I do every Wednesday night here at the Mary Horgan Center. And we had a Native American from the Pawnee Nation that was here to share with us last night. And as the Native Americans do, there was lots of gifting going on. There was gifting from me to her, from her to me. And one of the gifts that she gave me, and I'm showing it to you here, is a cross. Now, I haven't worn a cross in a very long time. I was actually gifted some years ago with this Incan cross that I've worn almost all the time ever since I was gifted it. Some of you have seen it, and some of you have commented on it from past videos. But when I was gifted the Incan cross, I was asked the question, do you ever wear a cross? And I said, I used to wear a cross all the time, but I haven't for a while. And the lady said to me, well, do you have a cross that you can wear? And I said, yes. And I went and I found the cross. She said, now hold it next to your heart and put your arm out, which I did. And she did muscle testing, and she pushed my arm down easily. I think I told this story once before in one of the other videos, but I'm telling it again because of the receiving of the cross last night. Then I held the Incan cross next to my heart, and she could practically hang on my arm. I mean, it obviously gave me greater strength. Now, the cross that I was presented last night is a Native American cross filled with turquoise. And my friend Crystal, who was here last night giving the presentation, I believe she herself made the cross. I could be incorrect on that, but I know she makes jewelry, and I believe she made it. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, I've said all that, and I'm going to get back to the subject of the day. There have been a number of people that have moved to restore the republic as it was established. Some of them have written new constitutions. And that, I think, is probably the most glaring of all problems and issues. We were given a magnificent constitution in the United States, at least up through the Bill of Rights, and probably through the original 13 amendments, the Bill of Rights plus 3, and of course the 13th one that was replaced with a new one, or is it the 14th? I think maybe it might be the 14th one. I'm blushing that I don't remember. But in any case, the one that didn't give lawyers the opportunity to run for office, which I've, again, spoken about that in the past. But up through that one, there was a pretty good foundation laid. And the only weakness of the original Constitution was that it did not give women and blacks and minorities the vote. And I think that's a glaring, glaring error, but it was an error from the consciousness of the time. That was how people saw things then. Men were the ones that were supposed to be in charge again. It was a patriarchal system that was in place and had been in place for a long time, and that's how people saw it. And I mean, let's not fault them. That's where they were then. Or I should say, that's where we were then, because we're the same human race that was there then. We've just moved a little bit further along. But anyway, this Republic movement is revealing a glaring weakness, as I said. And the weakness is we've got all these strong egos that each think that they have the way to do it better. And what happened with the Tim Turner Republic for the United States movement is he allowed this ambassador from Nebraska to write these manuals and distribute them and actually start teaching. And he did that without reading them. And embedded right within those documents, and I've mentioned this before, is poison. And it sets up an animosity and a competition between the role of ambassador and the role of the governor in each state. And so it created, or should I say revealed, an inherent power struggle between two positions, both of which are pro tem until the Republic is officially recognized at a world level and financed by the World Trust of Saint Germain. That's the only official and lawful method of empowering the Republic. There is no other funding that is legitimate. But here in Florida, the ambassador who was removed from office by National, and they called that top down because it was authoritarian. Well, you are not acting on the authority of National. So anyway, the Florida ambassador and others within the Florida Republic took it upon themselves to create another republic and disregard the Republic for the United States of America and disregard Tim Turner's pro tem authority. Not that he does exercise authority, and he needs to, in my opinion, as I see it. But what has happened is no one else has any authority, and actually his authority is totally undermined by this struggle between the ambassador role and the governor role. Authority comes from only one thing: God. It is divine authority, and the way that it works is through the heart of a servant. He that would rule serves. And there's an awful lot of egos in the Republic movement and around the world that don't have a clue about service. There's not enough spiritual maturity in these people to hold positions, even pro tem, of authority or apparent authority. And it is only apparent authority, because authority doesn't mean anything unless there's consent given to it. And I won't give my consent, for example, to the ambassador who has from the beginning of our interactions threatened me and made demands on me with threats. That's not an attitude of a leader. It's not an attitude of a person who is mature enough spiritually to understand the role of leadership. And so she and others have split the Republic here in Florida, so that there's people that are standing with the governor and there are people that are standing with her, and the ambassador people are starting their own constitution and everything else. This sucks. I mean, quite frankly, this is stupid. This is insane. If the Republic movement, any Republic movement, is going to survive and achieve its mission, the mission has to be first to establish on the foundation that was already laid lawfully. And that is all states in the Republic, and even around the world if you want to join the Republic of the United States for the world. Join the Republic under the original Constitution of the United States, with the exception that all humans are created equal. Not just all men, masculine, but all humans, regardless of race, religion, regardless of any of the things that we've used to divide us. There must be unanimity and the foundation. All of it is pro tem, which means it's temporary. We are temporarily holding positions of authority so that we, the people, can take back our individual sovereignty and ultimately establish state sovereignty truly from the people up. Now, what the battle cry of the ambassador here in Florida is, we want to establish a bottom-up republic. And they're doing it totally wrong, because it's a top-down thing. They are the authority, and people that don't agree with them, they get rid of them and put people in that do agree with them, and it's a power trip. That's not how you reestablish the Republic and reseat the Republic. That's not bottom-up. Bottom-up means that we, the people, learn to cooperate with each other, learn to love one another, learn to accept each other's differences, learn to embrace the commonality, that we are here to fix the glaring problems that are wrong with our world based on the Uniform Commercial Code and the insane system that has been developed by the international bankers and the bar associations around the world and the governments that they have bought and paid for with money that is insane money. Saint Germain established the World Trust for the time that we live in so that we could establish peace on earth, so that we could establish a lawful foundation. And that's the only foundation that we're going to succeed in building on. Creating new constitutions and letting each state do their own thing, that can come later. That can come later. Each person and each individual group can easily modify according to the dictates of the people's will, and the people that get together with a heart to create something that serves everyone. And a republic is a republic because it protects the rights of everyone. It's not a democracy. It's a republic. It protects the rights of those that are in the minority against being overrun by a majority. Do you hear what I'm saying? We are here to serve one another. The people up movement, the bottom up movement, the Republic movement, the Restore America movement. Whatever these things are, they will fall flat on their face if we don't first come from a place of purity within our hearts, which is what Crystal talked about last night. Purity of the heart. Purity of the heart. What is purity of the heart? It is a divine innocence. It is a divine compassion. It is a divine wisdom. It is a divine release of the ego, of the demand that I have to be the one that's right, that I have to have my way. It's a release of that and an allowance for spirit to move through us and to co-create through us. It's not us getting together in this ninth wave and co-creating each of us our own little world that conflicts with everybody else's little world. That's insanity. That's the insanity of the present world that we live in. It won't work. And so I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you to hear the wisdom that Spirit is giving. We must lay aside our differences and come together as a unified people on a foundation that was given to us over 200 years ago for the whole world. It was the original Declaration of Independence, built on the Magna Carta, built on the Articles of Confederation, which came from the Iroquois nation. That they had the Native Americans that were already here had established a beautiful way of sitting around the campfire or around the round table and bringing things into a place of harmony and agreement, coming from the heart. If we don't come from the heart, if we're going to come from the ego, we're in self-destruct mode. If we're going to come from our heads and each of us say we're right and as soon as we don't get our own way, we move aside and create something new. Folks, that won't work. I'm sorry, it won't work. It'll never work. It has never worked. The way home is love. The way home is wisdom. The way home is compassion. The way home is accepting one another with our differences as we are. Loving ourselves enough to see the wisdom that's in us and to hear the voice of Spirit that speaks in us, that still small voice that needs to get louder and louder, because this is our time to transform the world. And we've been given a foundation based on law, based on principle, and we can build on that foundation if we choose to. But we must choose to build on that foundation and no other one. Otherwise, it is unlawful and it will fail. I leave these thoughts and principles with you today. And I ask you to pray about it. I ask you to humbly talk to whatever you see the divine as, whatever you see God as. Talk to that divine part of yourself because it is part of you. Talk to that divine and ask for clarity and for wisdom. Together, we can change the world. Split apart and fighting with each other, we will only maintain what has been and what will continue to be the insanity that we see around us, that we are recognizing, which is a gift that we can even see it, and know that we are slaves of not of the UCC, not of the courts, not of the bankers, but we are slaves, each one of us, of our own insanity, of our own refusal to hear the wisdom and to be compassionate one to the other. It is a spiritual awakening, folks. Nothing else will work. I leave you with that. Namaste, and God bless you.